Zombies are gross, relentless, violent creatures that are found throughout modern media. In TV shows, movies, books, and video games, evading these rotting corpses might be more difficult in the real world than in their respective worlds. But the most exciting and relatable question for anyone consuming this media is, if these zombies were put into the real world today, is there any chance we survive? So, that's what we're gonna do in today's video, analyzing zombies from different video game franchises, how they spread their infection, and how difficult they are to kill. So lock and load, viewers, we got some zombies to deal with. Have I done this before? Yeah, so there's a part 1 to this video where I cover franchises like Dead Rising, Call of Duty Zombies, Dying Light, The Last of Us, and Resident Evil. So click the top right corner to watch that video before, if you care. In this video, we will look at some of the franchises I didn't cover, like Left 4 Dead, Halo, Minecraft, World War Z, and Plants vs. Zombies. So let's dive into our first game, which, for the record, I never thought I would be talking about in this video series. But this game has over 200 million downloads, a statistic that speaks for itself. Plants vs. Zombies, here we go. If you've never played or heard about Plants vs. Zombies, it's best summarized in the title, Plants vs. Zombies. The premise is simply this guy, Crazy Dave, versus this guy, Dr. Zomboss. Dr. Zomboss's hatred for Dave goes back to their childhood. An important thing to note is that zombies have a childhood within this franchise. Instead of zombies being regular humans who become infected by a virus and turn into zombies, zombies are born naturally somehow, and they are just incredibly dumb. They're so dumb that they believe eating brains is how they will become smarter. In fact, when researching this video, I couldn't find an agreed upon answer as to how zombies were created within the game franchise. You have graphic novels and games depicting zombies living alongside regular people in some capacity. And there are other instances where everyone's running from the zombies as they attack the game's main city, Neighborville. This led me to the conclusion that zombie creation within the franchise is just a mystery. If you've played the game, you know there are pirate zombies, ancient Egyptian zombies, Western zombies, futuristic zombies, and so on. It's confusing. That said, I will assume that all zombie creation is either the dead being reanimated or Dr. Zomboss creating them. How does this affect the real world? It doesn't. As I mentioned earlier, the first category, infectiousness, is defined as the ability of a disease to spread, and it depends heavily on how the infected multiply. Within Plants vs. Zombies, you don't see many examples of zombies turning healthy humans into more zombies. So if Dr. Zomboss can only turn dead bodies into zombies, the best counter would be cremation. Every person who dies from then onward would be burned into ashes instead of being buried. Does this stop the billions of other bodies that have been buried? No, but in terms of preventing the spread of zombies, it's a powerful move. That's why I give Plants vs. Zombies an infectiousness rating of 1 sunflower out of 5. However, don't start to underestimate these zombies, because there is so much more to them that we have to cover. The first thing regarding strength is their leader, Dr. Zomboss. While he hasn't had many victories within the Plants vs. Zombies universe, he's always invented new ways to give his army an advantage. One of the things he's created is a time machine. That's right, Dr. Zomboss is traveling across time to create more zombies and grow his army. Some of these zombies include gargantuars, which are massive, comically oversized zombies able to wield power lines, sharks, Egyptian sarcophagus, and more. Fun fact, the average sarcophagus for a pharaoh weighed anywhere from 1,000 to thousands of pounds. These brutes are strong. Dr. Zomboss also has access to the future, where tiny imp zombies can take control of futuristic tech and use it on the battlefield. The point is that Dr. Zomboss's use of his time machine gives him access to zombies from any era of history to throw on the battlefield. Games like Garden Warfare also show that there are superhero variants of zombies like Super Brains, who brings his own set of challenges. The only reason I can't give Plants vs. Zombies a high rating is the game it's from. I mean, read the title of the game. Plants vs. Zombies. I understand that the plants within this game are different and aren't your typical flora found at Walmart, but come on. If Dr. Zomboss hasn't been able to beat some plants and find a way through them, like maybe some napalm or molotovs, in the other zombie grading video, I considered how actual governments would handle zombie outbreaks. But things get complicated with Plants vs. Zombies because this isn't a traditional zombie scenario. It's more of a war and less of an outbreak. So with that in mind, I can't imagine this zombie army standing a chance against any military, which leads to my rating of 2 pea shooters out of 5. I don't see them putting up much of a fight, but if you wanted some zombies that would put up a fight, you'd be looking at World War Z. The World War Z franchise began as a book written by Max Brooks. It took a massive step forward when a film starring Brad Pitt was released in 2013. The latest and most important release for the sake of this video was the video game on April 16th, 2019. The World War Z game didn't follow the singular narrative like the movie, but told stories of different groups fighting against the Horde worldwide. The game highlighted cities like New York City, Moscow, Tokyo, Jerusalem, and more. As someone who's played the game, I can tell you the game doesn't deliver an important story. It's more the players getting an opportunity to experience a world in which an outbreak has ravaged everything. The characters we play are just survivors hoping to make it another day. Now, the virus within the World War Z game is the same as in the movie and book. It's spread primarily through biting and scratching, but that's not what makes the virus so intimidating. The real problem this virus presents is mass hordes of zombies on a scale we rarely see. I mean, look at this clip of a zombie horde as they pile through the streets of New York City. These zombies present a unique challenge compared to franchises like Dead Rising, because they are extremely horde-centric. The zombies get their safety in numbers as they attempt to steamroll anyone they wish to take down. When you fight these zombies in a smaller, more intimate setting, you can easily pick them off and reduce their numbers. So, taking this virus and putting it in the real world, I think similar results would be found in major cities across the globe. Zombies using that giant horde as a meat shield against bullets and artillery gives them an edge in their initial takeover. There's even different zombie types within the game called lurkers, screamers, gas bags, bulls, bombers, boosters, and infectors. All these different zombie types are fantastic, but to make a long story short, they aren't as overpowered as those in other franchises. Interestingly, it's for that reason that I rated Dead Rising's infectiousness as a 1.5 out of 5. The zombies and how they spread the virus aren't as strong as a dying light where you have volatiles, and the lack of any quick mobility or intelligence limited their potential. Also, something to note about World War Z's source material, the book, is that humanity shows signs of winning in the end. World governments start to wait out the zombies as their rapid decomposition took care of itself. I'm worried more about the longevity of the virus. Therefore, I'm giving World War Z's zombie infectiousness rating a 3 out of 5, and the strength a 2.5 out of 5. The lack of any strong zombie mutations or variety doesn't give them an edge over other franchises. Sure, major cities would be the first to go, but I'm not so sure the rest of the world is in as much trouble as we think. But if you are interested in zombies that affected the world and the entire galaxy, I would point you to Halo. Halo is a franchise that can be enjoyed on a surface level. Master Chief is a fantastic protagonist, and his battles against the Covenant, the Didact, the Banished, and the Flood are legendary. However, there are so many intricacies to the Halo universe, and more specifically, the Flood. To those who don't know, the Flood is a parasitic life form that can infect and mutate any living creature it comes into contact with. But before I get to the strength and power of this thing, I want to talk about how the infection spreads. Firstly, the Flood is ancient. From what I could learn about its history, it's supposedly the corrupted matter of ancient beings called the Precursors. Why is this important? Well, what separates the Flood from other viruses like the ones found in Dead Rising or Dying Light is that it's extremely intelligent. Not kidding, the Flood retreats from its assault on humanity at one point so that another race, the Forerunners, would be more willing to wipe out humanity. I can't recall many zombie viruses with that high intellect. But with the Flood's intelligence put into perspective, let's dive into how it spreads. To no one's surprise, the Flood uses physical contact with an infected host to a healthy host as a primary source of spreading. The Flood can also spread airborne via spores, which grow on its hosts or surrounding infrastructure. Another shocking fact about the Flood is that it can infect dead hosts. The only condition for this is that the host's central nervous system isn't severely damaged. So, not only are we fighting the horde of living people that are infected, but if anyone dies of natural causes, they are possible hosts for the Flood. To make it simpler, let's break the Flood down into 4 stages. The first stage is the feral stage. In this stage, the Flood is much smaller and just a bunch of supercells. Once it gets a hold of some biomatter, it can create pod infectors. These little devils can rush possible hosts and latch onto them, sending their tendrils into their nervous systems and initiating the takeover. The primary purpose of this stage for the Flood is to gain as much organic biomatter as possible to form a Gravemind. This centralized mind for the Flood is essential for its expansion. The second stage, the coordinated stage, is when the Gravemind gets the spotlight. The Flood will continue infecting as many hosts as possible to use their biomatter for its expansion. With that biomatter, it can form creatures called pure forms, which are entirely comprised of the Flood and require no host. The Flood also infects the surrounding ecosystem and creates blightlands, which are flood-infested pockets of nature that it can feed off. Essentially, the Flood becomes self-sustaining. All these factors add together for the next stage, the interstellar stage. Here, the Flood's ability to tap into the memories and consciousness of those it's infected becomes useful. Yes, it can actually do that. The Flood sets its sights on spreading to other planets within the system and uses technology created by humans, the Covenant, the Forerunners to spread. Also interesting to throw out there is that the Flood can infect artificial intelligence. It uses the logic plague to subvert non-biological mechanisms' original goals and changes its priorities to match that of the Flood's. The Flood it's just an unstoppable force. In fact, that's what the fourth stage is. The transgalactic stage is the Flood using all the technology within its current galaxy to escape and spread to countless others. I think there's no ifs or buts about it. The Flood's infectiousness rating gets 5 Master Chiefs out of 5. Now, the strength of the Flood is a pretty case-shut argument. The Flood's ability to take over creatures, spacecraft, and planets is well documented within Halo lore. A race like the extremely powerful Forerunners has had entire planets plunged into chaos and ruined by the Flood multiple times. The spread of the Flood was so bad that the Halo rings were created. The Array is an invention made solely to wipe out all living organisms, including the Flood. The Array was fired and did its job once, eliminating large portions of the Flood infestation around the galaxy, but it still survived. Intriguingly, even the modern-day Halo games, which has Master Chief putting down the infestation, still isn't enough. The Flood exists in the far outer rings of the galaxy and at any moment could return to wreak more havoc. I could go on and on about how dangerous the Flood is, but I think I've clarified the point. Our current military and technology could do nothing against the Flood. We don't stand a 1 in Googleplex chance against the Flood, and yes, that's an actual number. The Flood gets 5 Needlers out of 5, but transitioning to a less serious franchise brings us to the blocky realm of Minecraft. Minecraft is one of the most popular names in gaming, and it's for a good reason. The game empowers players to pull deep from within their creative minds and to build something special. The game also has large amounts of mobs that are trying to kill the player on sight. One of these mobs is the zombie. Minecraft zombies are iconic with their growl and their response to being hit. But it's time to drop the charades and analyze these undead under a microscope, or in my case, in a long-form YouTube video. The first category to assess these zombies by is strength. While playing Minecraft, you'll notice that any player attacked by a zombie dies. Players don't become zombies, but another resident of the Minecraft world, villagers, can be infected. The virus targets the villagers and uses them to grow. From there, zombies can have variations like drowned, which are underwater zombies, husks, which are desert zombies immune to the sun, and zombie villagers, which are freshly turned zombies that can be cured. Now, the zombies within Minecraft aren't the strongest. They shamble after their targets and definitely don't have speed on their side. And when it comes to their health, they aren't too strong. Throwing these zombies into the modern world, you can't expect them to do much. Just having them line up as they charge makes them target practice for the military. We also know that regular zombies can't handle the sunlight, which means husks are the only threat that can attack 24/7. Don't get it wrong, drowned attacking from the water does present a threat as well. Their ability to throw tridents gives them ranged attack capabilities, but I'm pretty sure bullets have more range than tridents. But being honest, there's nothing too intimidating or special about these zombies physically. However, there's something about the science of the zombies that makes them a real threat. If you didn't know, zombies within Minecraft spawn at night in darkness. And just like in Minecraft, the real world has a day and night cycle. Major cities in populated areas would be able to use street lighting and proper city funding to keep the lights on and prevent these guys from appearing. The problem appears when you look at rural areas. As an American and someone who's lived in heavily contrasting areas of the United States, I can testify to how dark and sparsely populated it can be. If these zombies were put into the real world, I see the zombie becoming a problem for many nations, forcing their populations to live in central city infrastructure. And remember, these zombies appear at night forever. So it's not like a virus that can be quarantined and shot into oblivion, it's going to keep on spawning. For this reason, I give the zombie virus strength 3 diamond pickaxes out of 5. Sure, the zombies aren't strong, but we're talking about a creature that spawns daily when the sun falls and the moon rises. They're not going to end all of humanity like the Flood or the Haran virus, but they're going to shake up the world as it is. Moving on to infection, the shaking somewhat stops. I think that the zombie virus's primary form of transmission, being physical, doesn't help its case. As I mentioned earlier, the zombies don't have any physical capabilities or variations that blow my mind. If these zombies had spores or some other form of transmission, it would boost their ranking, but they don't. So, with the zombies being slow and the virus only being transmitted by physical contact, I'm giving Minecraft zombie infectiousness 1.5 wooden swords out of 5. With that being settled, let's get on to the franchise everyone has been begging me to cover, Left 4 Dead. After my previous zombie ranking video, the comments section buzzed with demand for Left 4 Dead to be included. So, I blew off the dust on the Left 4 Dead franchise and analyzed some zombies. But here's your quick recap for those who know little about Left 4 Dead. A virus called the Green Flu has ravaged the world. turning most of humanity into aggressive zombie-like infected. The games follow small groups of survivors, us players, who struggle to navigate through ruined cities, forests, and rural areas, constantly fighting for their lives against both hordes of infected and deadly special mutations. Initially, the green flu was considered a strain of rabies, but as the game progresses, we learn it's so much more. Like rabies, it can be spread through saliva and blood, but it also has a variation that makes the virus airborne, and the virus spreads extremely quickly through those it infects, with some survivors stating that it can take anywhere from 15 to 5 minutes for someone to turn. For this reason, the entire eastern coast of the United States is thought to have fallen within the first 2 weeks after the outbreak. In 2010, it was estimated that 112 million people lived on the east coast of the United States. While Left 4 Dead is theorized to be set a year earlier, that still doesn't change the fact that 100+ million people can become part of the undead army. Even crazier is that the speed at which this virus spreads isn't its most dangerous trait. That award goes to its ability to mutate. The mutations this virus spawns are some of the most disturbing things you'll see in a zombie video game. Some of these abominations are smokers who have long tongues and emit smoke when killed, or jockeys who are decrepit and hideous creatures that hop on their victims' backs and guide them toward the horde. There's a lot more I'm going to cover when we look at strength, but the point I'm making is these mutations all work in favor of the horde in an unparalleled way. Look at franchises like Call of Duty Zombies and Dying Light. The stronger mutated zombies present new challenges for players to overcome, but they're more strength-based. The metric these infected are graded on is pure strength, whereas Left 4 Dead zombies come off as if there's some intelligent mastermind behind it all. I'm not joking, let me explain. One of the characteristics of the Left 4 Dead special zombies that caught my attention was the virus's ability to use the physical traits of their victims as an advantage. Smoker zombies, for example, use cancerous cells already found in smokers' lungs to form that long, disgusting tongue. And once they die, the smoke in their lungs is expelled to block survivors' vision. Hunter zombies are another great example. These special zombies can be found scaling walls and doing other forms of parkour to attack their targets. I theorize that these infected were once healthy adults, with excellent cardiovascular health and muscular build. The list goes on and on. Quick examples I can throw out there include tanks once being bodybuilders on steroids, witches being a mutation gone wrong, and boomers once being obese people who had produced large amounts of bile to break down fats. The green flu's mutations use the physical and mental characteristics of those it infects to expand the virus further. Other franchises like The Last of Us have a standard progression for the infected as time passes. Left 4 Dead instead decided to put on a lab coat and some safety goggles and experiment to see what horrible things it could create. And oh boy, it created one of the most downright diabolical traits a virus could have. The entire premise behind Left 4 Dead's players is that we are 4 survivors trying to navigate our way through this crumbling world. Our characters are special because we're immune to the green flu virus. By chance, our survivors have a recessive gene that makes them asymptomatic carriers of the virus. For those who don't know what an asymptomatic carrier is, an asymptomatic carrier carries and transmits a virus without showing any symptoms of the illness. Any outposts or established places where survivors could hide are at risk of having carriers spread the virus without anyone knowing. What makes it even more confusing is that these carriers are the future of humanity. They're the only ones who have a chance of surviving the outbreak, but the broader population would see them as outcasts and likely ban them from safe havens or kill them on sight. This creates 2 battles for humans, one against the zombies and another one against other humans. So with all that information, I give Left 4 Dead's virus an infectiousness rating of 4.5 witches out of 5. Left 4 Dead's green flu is extremely powerful, and I give modern day humanity less than a 1% chance of surviving. However, with franchises like Halo and Call of Duty Zombies, where the virus can spread between galaxies and dimensions, Left 4 Dead is a slight tier below that. However, a category that Left 4 Dead definitely doesn't lack is strength. So, starting from the bottom, we have Common Infected. These zombies are basic and present little threat to anyone by themselves. The zombies only become a threat when they attack in hordes. Hordes can be triggered by loud noises and boomer bile. What's boomer bile, you ask? Well, boomers are the large, plus-sized zombies that spit acid from a distance and blow up like a bomb upon death. The blood and guts they leave everywhere are capable of attracting hordes. Another dangerous variant is Hunters. These quick and agile zombies are capable of ambushing their targets using parkour. And while they don't have much health, their speed and ambush potential demands a lot of respect from survivors wishing to stay alive. Special infected like chargers and tanks are the opposite, with larger health pools and hitboxes. Chargers do precisely what their name insinuates, rushing headfirst towards survivors to try and grab them and pummel them into the ground. Tanks, on the other hand, are giant masses of terror. These mammoths of human flesh chase down and attack their targets mercilessly until they get the desired result. Automatic weapons and fire seem to be the only reasonable weapons that can put a dent in their health and stand any chance at bringing them down. Some other horrifying special zombies include jockeys and spitters. Jockeys I mentioned earlier as decrepit little turds that jump on survivors' backs and guide them toward the horde, while spitters do precisely what their name states and spit acid puddles from their freakishly long necks. And on the topic of freakishly long things, smokers exist. I mentioned these guys earlier, and they are zombies who use their extremely long tongues to grab victims and pull them toward the horde. Last but not least, there are witches. These female zombies are psychotic. When survivors stumble across and disturb a witch, she goes ballistic, attacking anyone she can get her claws on. She's got a large amount of health that's lower than a tank, but still allows her to put up a fight. So with all these zombie types and their abilities covered, does any government military stand a chance? No. The simple reason they don't stand the chance is the rate at which these special zombies are created. As I mentioned earlier, Left 4 Dead only takes place 2 weeks after the initial outbreak, and we see these special zombies throughout. The rapid rate at which infected become a special variant ensures that the challenge humanity faces isn't one-dimensional. Therefore, I give the zombie strength a rating of 4 tanks out of 5. These zombies are very similar to The Last of Us in terms of being able to plunge the world into chaos quickly. Their respective outbreaks are quick and powerful, like an arm sweeping over the world and turning everyone into the undead. They don't get the 5-star label because they aren't like Halo's Flood, which can use intergalactic technology to spread its sickly influence. So, wrapping up our list, weakest zombies are found in Plants vs. Zombies with an average rating of 2. Next is Minecraft with 2.25. Third place goes to World War Z with a rating of 2.75. Second place should surprise no one with Left 4 Dead at 4.25. And first place goes to The Flood with a perfect rating of 5. If you want to see me rank other zombie franchises, click this video on the screen right now. If you're angry I didn't cover a particular franchise or I got something wrong, comment down below. I'm man enough to admit when I'm wrong. Besides that, I hope you enjoyed the video and eat some brains.